What's up, traders? Welcome back to Start Swing Trading, where we get you into the swing trade action. And if you guys are day traders out there, you know what they say about day traders, right? Day traders eventually become swing traders a lot of the times. A lot of times when they fail, they go ahead and look for ways where they can go ahead and minimize the risk, looking for that bigger expansion move. That's what swing trading is truly about. That's why I started this, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I've done both, right? I've done some day trading, some swing trading, a little long-term trading, right? But really, where we're focused here is getting out of the day trading action and focus more on those daily charts, focus more on the bigger time frame charts, like hourly charts, right? And even working backwards to maybe the 15. But really what we're looking at here is daily setups. That's what I look for in the day trading action. A lot of the times my day trades can become swing trades. What do I mean by that? A lot of times the outlook is to just go ahead. When I'm doing a swing trade, I'm going to try to get that entry right with the right sizing for the swing trade. But I'm looking to take some profit on the first kind of swing up, right? Especially if I'm long, I'm looking for that first swing up, take some profits, and then leave the rest break even as a runner. This is very important to me. I always talk about how I can have the market work for me if I can get into a good position. Let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the market today. Let's take a look at the SPY. I've been talking about the 1 hour chart on the SPY. Multiple times have we been talking about this. We talked about this yesterday. Let's take a look, right? Well, one thing that you can clearly see here on the SPY is how we've been trying to get back towards the 415. It's looking like we're setting up, finally starting to approach what? The trend line break, right? So we've gone to the trend line multiple times. Now I'm looking for this to break through the trend line and hold it on pullbacks. As of late, we went to 413.50s. And I think that by the close here, we're going to look to see if we get that run towards 415. And if we get that run to 415, we very much could be above 417 by the open tomorrow. So I'm keeping this on my radar. You guys know my rule of three. If it breaks 408 now, yes, I'd be looking for some downside action. But as long as it can hold that level, I'm going to be looking for the bullish action. I talked about that this morning on live trading. And wouldn't you know it? Well, the bear going green? Well, let's talk a little bit about that and get into some of the swing trades, of course. First thing we always do is talk about any swing trades that we closed, right? That's what we need to focus on first. And I'll let you guys know. There was no swing trade that we closed in the intraday. Now, there was one that we closed in the pre-market, which was, of course, Tesla. But we did take there. What did we do? We took 3 of the 4 profits that we were looking at. And a lot of what we were looking at were retracement levels. 23.6 retracement, 38.6 or 38.2 retracement, right? And then back down to the 50 retracement. I wasn't expecting to see Tesla retrace 50%, but I was going to take my shot that it was going to maybe go through the 23.6 towards that 38.2. I was able to take some profits towards the 190. That was the third of the 4 profits, and the maximum profits would have came towards 175. But what did we do? This morning in the pre-market, we're able to cut out just slightly above my level. And yes, I lost a couple pennies on the name, but with the sizing being so small because we already took profit, I was going to let the trade go back there and stop me out because it could have always turned around, right? It could have came to this 205 and then came right back down through that 190. I give myself the shot to let the trade work, take some profits along the way, and then leave the rest to be a runner. Break even on this rest, and that's what matters. Always try to understand that there's going to come a certain point where trade should not become a loser. In my eyes, this was when I took that third profit right after that point. I wasn't going to lose on this trade here. I was just going to take some profits and look to expand the wave, right? One thing that I talk about on swing trading a lot is that we're essentially looking for what? We're looking for that big expansion away in our equity, right? And so a lot of times when we're taking these trades, we're going to go ahead and take some profits and look for that nice big winner on a small amount of volume, small amount of share size, right? I've seen some trades that you would not imagine, right? Like you were thinking you were going to get a 3 or 4% return. You leave that runner on. Next thing you know, you're getting a 15, 20% return on the small amount of shares. Yes. But that's what gives you really that nice up wave in the equity wave. And that's really how I've seen my equity wave go up, right? On swing trading, a lot of the times we're going to have these little waves. But if you start taking these nice swing trades, you should see a nice impact going with an up wave on your equity. Let's get towards the other swing trades that we have on right now. Let's talk about one that we gave yesterday, and we did this live here, ITW in the green today. Let's talk about that. Yesterday, we were looking at it at the VWAP level, looking for it to come back there towards the 239s, and now we're at 239.93. As we get to the 240 levels, we'll start to come pushing. Now I'm going to be looking to take some profit as we get to 241, and then we'll really start looking to push on the dailies. As we start getting back here towards this high, 241.65, I want to take some profits as we get there, and then really start looking to see if we can get to 245 and 250 on ITW. All right, we'll see what happens in this one. This is diversified industrial play. And like always, we don't know where it's going to go, but the only thing we can do is take our shot. So average on this one is 237.81. We'll look to see if it can continue making a run and keep pushing higher. ITW. Then today, team, I was watching the SPY, and I tried to do this as a day trade. Was stopped out on that day trading size, and I stopped out pretty much just under the break-even spot. It was a very tiny loss. It was like 7 cents on the loss in the day trading account. But then I said, you know what? I like the way this market is lining up. I like the way the pattern's lining up on a bigger time frame. I'm going to take my shot on Amazon on more of a swing. And so that was right here when we started recovering the 99. So I took my shot there, got in there at 99.12 for Amazon, and started riding up. What did I do? I was looking for the first profit. That was going to be towards the 100 spot. All I was looking for Amazon to do is to reclaim 100 today. I was going to take some profit there, and that's exactly what I did. Paid myself now, and now can let the trade work, right? We can let the trade work, and especially if it's trending like it is right now, I'm not going to be cutting this position. I'm going to be letting it work in my favor, right? And we look at the daily chart here for Amazon. If we can really start trending back here, we're going to go towards 101.78. It's kind of like the next stop there. But we could start trending back towards this gap zone. We could be back up towards 105. And who knows, maybe 110 in reach, right? In the next couple of days. We'll see what happens. That's what it's all about on swing trades. Just got to size out now. Took the profits, took the pressure off. At this point, I even have it set. I put it down a little bit lower for the intraday action. I just put a stop there at 99. My average is 99.12. I don't expect it coming back to 99 anytime soon, but this gets me the worries. I don't have to pay attention to it. I can just let the trade work and see what happens, right? We'll see what happens on that one. And then, of course, there's one more trade that we got on the swing trade right now, which is UNG. And I wanted to talk about this specifically today. I talked about how I've been trying to trade UNG and get it back on through the nines, right? Yesterday, we were looking really good as we came up here towards the 890s. Now, what I'm seeing here is that we're starting to cut back down through the 859 line. And if you look on the daily chart, I was talking about this. I wanted it to hold above 850s today. We'll see what happens today. If we close below 840s, that's when I might just cut this trade tomorrow morning. We'll see what happens. I can cut it right now. I'm in an average at 847. My biggest thing is that it should go now. We have that levels where we could break through, right above the 890s. Definitely don't want to see it break through 8, but it's not giving us that real big drive. We're going to give it one more day, see if it holds here about 840s, closing there, and then getting back there towards 9 is what we want to see tomorrow. If that lets go towards like 825, might just cut the trade. It's just been one of those trades where it's going sideways for so long. At some point, it's either going to come down and break the 8 or break the 9. But also, I get this ticking time bomb sometimes in positions where I feel like I'm just sitting there. And eventually, I want to get to a point where I'm not going to lose on this trade because it's just been time needs to pay me eventually, right? Same way that like options go against you and time decay. Kind of think about that in that sense, right? Well, eventually this should have gone through that 9, especially that last price action gave me that look like it wanted to get to 9. And today we're getting a deep pullback. We'll see what happens. Natty Gas is definitely a tougher trade out there. I will say that. But let's get back to the action in the SPY, right? We want to take a look at what is doing well on the intraday action. And are we going to get this hourly lift, right? Let's go to the 15-minute chart. You can see we pulled back towards that trend line, now bouncing off of it. I want to see us get back up towards 415. If we could close towards 415, I'll tell you right now, the bull's in control. And no bear is going to be looking at this chart if we start breaking through that 416, 417. If we get to 420s, I'll tell you, I'll have to hang my hat up on the bear life. We'll see what happens there in SPY. If it can continue driving on the intraday. Of course, Amazon trying to get back there through the 101. We'll see if it can continue making the lift. All right, that's Amazon. A little bit later today, team, I want to tell you we do have a trader that will be back on joining us. He used to be on Benzinga often. Ryan Rosebiani. Don't want to miss him. Like always, he's one of our good friends, right? Market analyst at Trading Together. He's even worked some AI. He's worked some bot trading out there. He does it all. One thing I can't wait to do is talk to Ryan because I know that he looks into the market every single day. I know he's going to bring some interesting plays. So stick around for that. That's going to be at 3:30. We'll have him on. I'm excited to go ahead and get into it. Let's get back to the stock market action. We're going to go take a look here into like what was hot and what was not today. Let's go towards the change percentage, right, from in the SPY. Trying to see some of the bigger names to see how that worked out. And look at this. Solar, big push today. SEDG, big push on the daily. Look how that pushed right back up towards the upside. And I remember this was down there towards 220s. This just goes to show you, SEDG, we're going to take off all these lines in between, and we're going to really focus more and more on the monthly. Monthly charts sometimes, some stocks just trade 10 times better if you just looked at the monthly. The weeklies even will fool you. And I think that this is clearly one of those stocks that is like that, right? It came up there multiple times to that monthly resistance, came back all the way down towards support, tried to break through this support, wicked through, came down even towards 200, then a quick recovery back towards 342. Just shows you the volatility in this stock and how it can come up and down. Another stock that I am not fighting is First Solar. I've talked about how I wanted to see SEDG truly start breaking down before I wanted to go shorting on First Solar. Yes, I wanted to swing it to the short side, but SEDG is, if anything, it's making me think that this might be more of a long play. And what do I mean by that is just look at this as we're starting to recover here on the daily. And you came back to the trend line, right? You bounced right off of that trend line there. Now it looks like it wants to come right back towards this trend line up here. And that could be a move back towards 178. So if anything, First Solar is looking like a possibility to the upside. All right, let's catch up with the chat. What's going on out there? Florida. Mitch must be roommates with Tom Lee. We'll see what happens. What did he say? Maybe I caught something that he said or not. Who knows? Sun Power after the bell. SPWR. Haven't seen this one in a little while. Sun Power. Ooh, this looks interesting. Look how I look up seasonality, team. Seasonality, team. Have these written down. Sun Power usually does well from August 20th to January 21st. This was that little window between here, right? And so a lot of times it sells off in January. I'm wondering. That's why I was wondering if it was going to sell off this January. And if you take a look, we kind of have been weaker But the other solar stocks, those are not weak by any means. You can look at First Solar. How did EMPH do today? Bounce back on EMPH today, back up there to 216.14s. Got to keep these on watch. We'll see what happens. Sun W. Let me see. Let me take a look at some of the other ones in solar. Max R, Max N. That's the one. Max N starting to come back there, trying to get back there towards the 20s. This one doesn't look too bad if it can actually make its way back up towards 22. We'll see what happens in these solar names. I don't know about that SPWR, even though it makes me want to just swing it into the levels below, right? I mean, just look at the monthlies. Monthlies have nice support right around here in the 16s. This gets a nice pop into the 20s. It could be right back towards the 24s. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to take my shot on an earnings one. Those are too difficult to do, but we'll see. Remember, Shop Team was one that we looked at earlier this week, and I got stopped out yesterday, really frustrated because this thing came down right below my entry. My entry was around 48.30s. We got stopped out in this one, and now it's up there to 53. 7% move there in Shopify. And it was all about not letting it go through to my original planned risk. Always going to go ahead and show you guys when I make mistakes. Hopefully you guys can learn from them and improve on your own swing trading action. All right, catching up with the chat. Grateful to God. TNON. Going to be going sick. I don't even know this one. Probably a smaller name. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, that's definitely more of that parabolic move through the $2. We'll see what happens on that one. I don't really like to trade kind of more stocks that could be parabolic on swing trades just because they could come down also just as fast. But it does look strong today, man. Jay Rice, Roku and Shop, two big names tonight. Roku's been strong. We'll see what happens on their earnings report. Look at that day today. Oh, big push on the day. I was also looking for Zoom to maybe have a decent day today, and look at that. Boom, big push up. We were talking about these on PreMarket Prep. So if you guys are not watching PreMarket Prep, don't know what you're doing, but definitely catch that. All right, let's get back to the action. Let's go towards what was doing well in the SPY. Let's get back towards that. We've talked about SEDG. Let's look at Etsy. Big move there up in Etsy. Not what I expected. You guys been using Etsy lately? I don't know. I don't know too much about Etsy. Overall, if they've been doing well or not, but I can say that this looks like it's trying to come back here. You can tell here that you look like you tried to get kind of like that inverse head and shoulders look here. And I think what's important too is that now you're reclaiming it. You went up through that 148. You came back towards 132. Big support right underneath this towards especially like that 131. I could see buyers that were stepping up. Now you're getting back up there towards the 142 area. Look for maybe pullbacks towards 139, 138 area. Maybe that's what we get on the Etsy. Paramount Global having a nice little push up. We'll see what happens in that name. And that's something that I really want to swing. I know this was moving because of Warren Buffett. It was included in the 13Fs. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look at some other stocks. Generac. I know a lot of people have been talking about Generac. Not necessarily a name that I love, but looks interesting there, right? A little bit kind of the little cup action right there. We'll see what happens on Generac. Looks like it's trying to just fill in this gap, and it did it today, right? And so just be careful because now that you filled that gap, will it just come back down? That's one thing that I'd be worried about. We'll see if it actually can. Did it fully fill that gap? Let me see. When is this high here? 145. I mean, it tried to get up there. It got close. Pre-market action, 141. Oh, it was right in the intraday. It spiked up there. It got close. Definitely starting to fill that gap there on Generac. You got to be careful there. WBD, of course, going up probably with that Paramount mention. Of course, Warren Buffett taking some more shots, but Warner Brothers hasn't turned around. It started to really push. Got up there to 15. We'll look to see if it gets back there to 16. All right, getting out of some of these bigger names. Can keep an eye on these. One thing that I do see is Target. I've been keeping a close eye on this one. This one looks like we might have to start taking a swing up here for the gap close. We talked about how this one has a tendency of going up and then kind of failing out here, right? Well, I'm starting to really look to see if we can finally get out of this downtrend in Target. It's been a long time, team. This really started back there in May of 18 and 22. We've made a couple of attempts to come up here, and now we're really getting back one more drive. I could see that 170 playing as support. So we'll see what happens right now as we start coming up here towards the 175. I'll look for pullbacks maybe towards the 173 to get into target for that gap fill. All right, let's get out of this action. I do have some names that I just want to take a look at, and then we'll bring our guest on at 3:30. So stick around, team. Marie, what are you saying? I can say as an Etsy shop owner, my sales are way up this year. Marie, thank you for the insight. That's what it's all about. Hell yeah, Lucky Garcia. I agree with that. That's good insight. Appreciate that. And like I mentioned, when you don't know something, don't act like you're an expert in it. I clearly told you guys I don't know Etsy, but looks like Marie, as a shop owner, might have some expertise. We'll see what happens there. Sabrina bringing an interesting one there. Canara Brands. That's CAG. That's more of a value name. I was playing a little value earlier this week, but the way that the market's right now, it's not looking like the value names are coming back. I tried to play GIS earlier this week, right? Stopped out at the 76. Kind of glad I got stopped out there, right? I mean, now you're back down to 74.50s. It just doesn't seem like they want to rotate right now to the value names. And that's interesting, Sabrina, because that just shows me more and more growth names. And it looks like we want to keep pushing. So keep that in your mind, right? All right, let's take a look right now. I do got some plays that we can look at. We talked about yesterday on steel plays. Remember, I talked about X. And what did I say about X yesterday? You guys can quote me. Of course, always call me out. Please, call me out, chat. If I say something that I said yesterday but didn't say it, I want you guys to keep me honest. That's what this show's about. Accountability, baby. I'm going to try to be accountable to everything that I'm saying. And like always, you guys take everything that I say with a grain of salt. All right, so X, we talked about yesterday. Would it come back below 29? I didn't want to get into it yesterday for the swing trade. Why? Because we were above 29 towards the close. Here you guys see it at 3 p.m. We were trading at 29.24. I was like, can I just get a move back down through 28.80s or to 28.80s to get in this one? Well, in the open, I definitely had that opportunity. Wasn't watching it, so I need to set a little bit more alerts for us to really catch these when I'm on live trading so I could take the trade, right? Set those alerts, get alerted, understand your levels, and then you can take the trade. Look at that reaction. Crack through 29, comes back towards support, then really takes off. Those red to green moves, especially when you're looking at a trade for that long side action on the swing trade, right? And you're looking at the daily levels and you like some daily levels that are like, let's say like in this case, I like that 29 break. A lot of the times, if I couldn't get it that day, I'm going to look the next day to see if we can get a quick pullback to that level. And then I can grab it with a good risk to return because I'm going back to prior day's highs, right? I'm looking at that as the way that I could really just tackle it in the intraday and then give a little bit of run action, right? Well, that's definitely a trade that worked out today. That was on US Steel. And what was another trade that was mentioned yesterday? It was Christian Farmhurst as we looked into steel and we talked about steel dynamics. Wasn't a bad move on the name. We'll see what happens on it right now. It is trying to get back there towards 127. This one has been really strong as of late. Red to green move on this one too. So just be careful with those red to green moves. We'll look to see if this one can continue trending. But let's take a look at the leadership. Nucor coming back. Not looking too bad towards the close. Cleveland Cliff was another one that I was looking at. And take a look at that. Now you're starting to get a nice little bottoming action. You filled in the gap here. Nice little fill in the gap. And now you're starting to recover the price action. Got to keep this one on watch, right? That's some things that we got to always be looking for. All right, let's keep going. Cleveland Cliff. Steel was an interesting play. Now I will take a look at another one that I'm looking at. When I start thinking about the airlines, I think about how strong they've been remaining and staying a little bit quiet after a strong move. That's what you a lot of times want to see. If you see a stock do a strong move, What you just don't want to see is the stock just immediately come back down here, right? If it goes up and then comes back down to there, that just shows you more volatility. But when the stock comes up and then starts giving you sideways congestion up at the top end of the range, that's a bullish action, right? We want to be catching those moments. So look at the UAL move here. Look how this thing right after earnings, really good earnings out there, came back, filled in the gap, and then just started going sideways after that, right? You even got this day that it attempted to break down through those levels and couldn't do it. Now that we're back and now have created multiple support right around this 48.50, gives me ability to start risking off of that. Now I'm looking at UAL for a swing trade back up towards 51.50s. This one doesn't look bad for me. It did already kind of make a little bit of a lift here from 2 to 3. That's really when I was watching it. I was just doing a little research beforehand, and I was looking at these, and it already has gone a little bit too much for me. So I'm not going to chase up here at 50, even though I want to get in, right? I'm going to look for a pullback tomorrow below 50 towards the 49 and then look to see if I can get in. Why? Because that would be just a trend trying to get back up, creating a higher low, right? Higher lows start creating 425. What was our low today? We went to a 49.15, right? Let's see if we get another little attempt back down below the 50s towards that 49. And then I'm able to get in and just going to look for this trend to continue, the higher low trend to continue back up towards that 51.50 on UAL. And you also want to be taking a look at other airlines. It doesn't have to only be this play, right? You want to see how the industry overall is working. Look at DAL, Delta, not looking too bad, right? A lot of these airlines are not looking bad at all. And it's just going to be more about the matter of if the SPY can really give us that breakout. Because if we're up there towards 417, yeah, I could see this UAL working out. We'll see what happens on this one. Not going to take it today because it's just already above that 50 level. I would have to risk down there towards the 48.60s. And a lot of the times I'm looking to try to be, 3-1 or 4-1 on these swings, right? Not a 2-1 outlook, not a 1-1 outlook, because that's not going to do it for me, right, team? That's not going to be something that I can repeat the process and think that I'm going to be in the profits. All right, that's going to do it for UAL talk. Like always, team, you guys can keep up with all the action that I talk about on, of course, my Twitter, MoneyMitchBZ. I'm going to do more and more to try to keep you guys in tune with the way that I'm looking at these airlines. There is one that being mentioned in the chat, so I'll do a quick look, and that's Hawaiian Holdings. Nice little pullback as of late, right? This one actually pulled back, giving you that opportunity. I was looking for a pullback opportunity in AAL. It just never even went into that gap zone. So we'll see what happens there. Not one that I've traded before, but HA, Hawaiian Holdings, something to keep on watch, right? How's JetBlue doing? JetBlue, doesn't look too bad either. Nice little step up, holding the 200-day on the pullback. Now starting to come back, trying to get back there towards the 9. We'll see what happens on these airlines. They don't look bad by any means. Industrials overall, they don't look bad. Look at the sector. This is the sector that, if anything, I felt held on way better in the bear market. I mean, look at that. We're pushing higher on industrials than we have since the 2020. That's an important thing to catch there. We'll see what happens there in the industrials. All right, getting out of that talk, we're going to go ahead and get our guest on. Like always, you guys in the chat, hit the like button. We're going to keep going. And if for any reason, when we're going through these swing trading ideas, when we bring on Ryan now, I want you guys in the chat to tune in, give some opinion. Let us know. Do you guys think the trades are going to work? You guys think the trades are not going to work? We're not going to hold you accountable to it, but I want to hear your opinions too. Do you guys like the charts? Don't like the charts? Let us know in the chat. We ain't going to be mad at you if you don't like our swing trade. I'll tell you that right now. That's not what we do it for, right? I'm not doing it because you guys like it or not. We just got to go ahead and call it how we see it. That's what it's always about. And then from there, the results will speak for themselves, right? All right, let's go ahead. Let's bring on Ryan Rosebiani. He used to be on here all the time. Used to take control for me. I miss you, my friend. How you been doing?
Man, I miss you too, buddy. How have you been?
It's good. It's good. Like always, just continuing to work on the craft, right? I mean, at the end of the day.
I see.
It's
I
not
see that.
perfect, right? There's never a perfect game out there. And if you guys know somebody that's a perfect trader, well, please let me know because we
We'll
need
go
him
work
on
for him.
here. Yeah, exactly. But working on the craft. And that's one thing that I know Ryan always been working on. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. You even came out with kind of more that AI bot even. And I was
Yeah.
impressed by that, man. I
Thank
got to
you.
give you the shout out for it because it's not easy, right? I think what's important there always is that Ryan's always trying to bring back some type of value to his community. So if you guys haven't checked out the trading group before, I definitely do so. Let's get to the action, Ryan. What do you got for us, my friend? What kind of stocks you
So
looking at?
I've been looking at a lot actually. So we've been on a massive, beautiful tear.
Yeah.
We had some small little pullbacks here and there. We like you had the chart. Literally, I have the same exact trend line as you do on the S&P with
Yeah.
that trend line there, which we're testing again today, which is nice to see. So actually, right before I came on here, I was cycling
Mm-hmm.
through some stuff. If we can pull up the SPY 1 hour chart, you can see
Yeah.
that we're forming somewhat of an inverse head and shoulders there. It's not perfect. It's not textbook. It's not all perfectly symmetrical. But if it's almost parallel. The neckline is very parallel to that resistance line that we have. If we break out above that, things can get nice and juicy, and we can go fill that gap up from the 220 to the 221 point, which would give us our quote unquote next leg upward. Now, we could still continue to keep rejecting that as well and bobbling there because two things to keep in mind is we've got two big catalysts coming up. We passed CPI, that's in the tailwinds now. We have our FOMC meeting minutes from the January meeting, which is highly anticipated because that meeting didn't have the table of projection materials, and they kind of hint at some projections like that big ultimate big catalyst word that everyone talks about, which is what? That federal funds rate. That federal funds rate could be hinted at again in this document, saying, "Hey, last time we said 5.1, maybe we're looking at 5.5." That could spook the markets. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for next week on Wednesday at 2 p.m. That comes out. And one thing to keep in mind a little bit farther down the line is the Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, will be testifying in front of Senate and Congress on March 2nd and 3rd. And that tends to get a little bit wobbly because one thing that we do know is the Senate and Congress want a stop on the rate hikes. Jerome Powell and the team have been iterating they want to continue this. So this could come off as hawkish and cause bearish waves within the market. So these are the two things I'm keeping in the back of my head in terms of this setup that we have on SPY, because this is the overall thing. If we see these big moves, these big breakouts, these SPYs, the parts of the sum make up the whole is what I always say. We can
Yeah.
see the other things break out. And like the biggest thing that I'm watching parallel to this is always Apple. And Apple keeps
Mm-hmm.
testing that 157 range. We break out of that. We can see continuation on SPY even before these events play out, because sometimes it could just, the markets just want to go and they'll go like today. Like in the morning, the price action was quite difficult to trade, full transparency. But then later
Mm-hmm.
in the afternoon, it felt like power hour and the market open came in at 1 p.m., which usually never happens. But I don't know what was going on. I think the guys were out late last night, the market makers with their dates, and they woke up, they got over their hangovers, and they finally started trading at 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
So
I
we're
mean,
seeing these
that's a
moves.
trend. That's a trend, Ryan, that I've been seeing more and more. I can say it seems like almost to me, it seems like almost some algos are being turned off early in the market and
Mm-hmm.
turned on during that lunch hour. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy to think so, but for a long time, for a very long time, the power hour kind of got almost where it's like, nah, I don't want to trade the power hour. There's really nothing
Yeah.
moving. But
It's been
now
more of a
it's
sour hour some days where it's just like
exactly,
so like
exactly.
either slow or just straight downward, and people don't like that. So
That's why I
that's
started
quite
this show,
unfortunate.
right? Because a lot
Yeah.
of people look at swing trades and a lot of them are looking towards that closing action, right? Because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of us are looking at more that daily candle close, right? Where's the daily candle closing, right?
Right.
And I think that it's important to try to catch trends, right? It seems like right
Okay.
now it's an afternoon trend, man. I was laughing because it wasn't like 2 minutes when I got off that this little
Mm-hmm.
pop finally happened, that you got that 15-minute little push here in the SPY towards the 412s. And I
Yeah.
was like, man, what happened? Did someone, did we go to lunch? Is that what
You,
happened?
you messaged me and you said, I need you to come on the show. So I called a few of the guys on Wall Street and I said, start buying. We need to get this thing pumping for the
The
show.
lunch spots, man. The lunch spots. I always talk about them. We got to know where they're at. But let's start taking a look a little bit at some trading action.
Sure.
What are you guys, what are you taking a look at right now?
The biggest thing that I've been really looking at especially since we're coming off the tail. We're still in the heart of earnings season, but the big boys reported, right? The
Mm-hmm.
biggest one that I've been watching is Meta. So formerly known as Facebook, Meta platforms. I've been really watching that gap. So the reason we
Yeah.
got this big pop on Meta was due to the stock buyback. That was a bullish signal, even though they've done stock buybacks at prices that were much higher than this, valuations are much higher than this. The earnings, if you look at them soup to nuts, in my personal opinion, based on how I analyze it, were not fantastic. And that to me signals that the markets will look for any reason to sell off. You want a parallel situation to this? Look at Google. Google pumped on earnings, but their AI had a small little fumble, and we've been on a downhill trend. Earnings pop reversed, everything reversed, and Google wasn't so hot. So I'm looking and keeping my eye on Meta, specifically that 9 moving average on the daily chart. If we confirm lose that, I can see us coming for a nice swift move to the downside and filling this gap. Meta's famous for filling its gaps. It's very known for filling its gaps. I can see this gap filling. This is the thing. For a swing trade, I would definitely have to wait for confirmation before taking entry on this position. I wouldn't just take it to take it, because one thing that could happen is this could consolidate and trade sideways for weeks on end and can burn your premium if you're trading options. Same thing if you're trading shorts, you're going to be paying a steep premium on that margin, right? So especially since we're trading this as a downside. If we're trading it to the upside, we could just buy shares and sit on it for a while and go there. But since this is options, how I kind of balance my risk reward is I wait for the break, wait for a confirmation, and then I will take the trade there. Or I will day trade it until I get into a position where I can see the confirmation holding, and then I'll hold this and turn my day trade into a swing trade. So that's the biggest thing, is looking for that 9 EMA to break. So far, it's been catching it. So far, it's been holding it. It makes for good day trades on those big red days. But as of right now, that's the biggest one that I'm watching. Parallel to that, something that might be a little bit more affordable in the premium section is SoFi. Now, SoFi's earnings I really, really liked. SoFi is a company that I really like. Full transparency, I have a position in SoFi. I don't have a position in Meta. I'd like to be very transparent there.
Yeah.
With SoFi, that gap exactly. Same gap, same situation. I was looking actually to trade this one today. It was on my docket. It was set on my alerts for something to trade today if we break to the downside. We didn't. As a shareholder, I'm thankful. As a trader, I'm like, darn, that would have been a nice opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But we broke to the upside. Now, again, something happens. One of these two catalysts goes off that we discussed earlier, FOMC meeting minutes, Jerome Powell testifying. One of these two things goes bad. We can see a big reversal in this, and things could, again, at this point, we're much higher, right? We can look for rejections in those resistance levels, and we can see this come to the downside and fill said gap or come even lower. Is that yellow line that you have there? Which moving average is that one?
That is going to be the 50. That's
Your
the
50.
daily
Okay,
50.
exactly.
Yeah.
50 daily. Okay, perfect. So you come straight down to the 50, and you can see it probably catch there, because you can see the 50's been nice, strong support for a bit there. It paralleled when the 9's been massive support, and the 9 held. Even on that for a few days, it was down below it, but like it's popped up back now. So again, if we lose that again, I can see this coming in clean filling this, and it's not a massive gap. So you're not going to get massive. But the thing with SoFi is these the contract premiums are so low, you can buy them at a much larger quantity, kind of balance out your risk reward there and your kind of your quote unquote payout.
Love it there. And then definitely we got to be looking at those plays. And one of the things that I've been seeing more and more is the gap fills. The gap fills has just been such a play that if you're just that type of trader, you've probably been absolutely killing it. I've seen so many big gaps that you think will never get filled. And if a stock gets too big, like that Meta gap, you and me both, brother, we've been looking at that, and it's just like, well, I mean, it doesn't mean that Meta's going to go all the way back down where it was, but
right.
I mean, that's definitely what you call that, like, exuberance type of move, where it's just exuberance that drives it that high. And then from that point, it's okay for it to come back down, fill that, and then find some buyers. I'm sure there's buyers waiting at the bottom of that bracket there.
Right. Because
and
they're very patient.
Yeah.
These guys in the markets that are waiting to go long on this position are patient, because look, the overall market still has a lot of unknowns. The stock market doesn't like unknowns. We know that. The biggest unknown being how high is the federal funds rate going to go, and when are they going to pause? Because they're not going to cut. They're going to pause first. And these are the big two unknowns. And as this keeps going farther outward, people are going to de-risk again, because the big euphoria for this past, essentially from year to date, has been the Fed's going to pivot. And the Fed's pivot definition in the mainstream has been cutting rates, when in reality, we know based on historics, it's a pause, wait, and then restart again. If we're going by the 70s outlook, which probably isn't what Jay Powell is going to do, or a pause, wait, see what happens, and then begin cutting rates maybe towards the end of this year, early next year, depending on how inflation goes. And based off the CPI report we got yesterday, month over month isn't hot. CPI is still a problem, and year over year inched down barely. So inflation is still a big battle we're going to be facing going into the next few months. So the stock market is going to readjust that. As much as I personally, as a long-term investor at heart, love to see these big, massive bull runs, and I love it when we go up, straight up. I do heed caution to myself and say, hey, be patient. Opportunities will arise amidst this situation for buying, especially long term. And it's looking at something like Meta, which, if you look at the fundamentals on the earnings, doesn't justify that massive pop just yet.
Yeah.
To me, that says if I want Meta, I could probably get it for much cheaper. And a lot of the markets are probably going to agree on that. And that's why you're going to see, even here, you can see it's a slow bleed. You have a bit of a slow bleed happening here. Nothing too big, but it's a slow bleeder. And then eventually when one block kicks out, the whole thing will begin to kind of come down and crumble and then slowly make its way back up justifiably. So it's like that big, massive original drop that we had, that gap filled, right? So I think that this can do the same exact situation here. And that gap, people were like, that's never going to fill. Meta's going to be stuck at 100 in the low hundreds for a very, very long time. And hey, they made their way back up. Buyers stepped in.
Yeah, it's so many of these gaps that have filled. I mean, I still remember just to kind of put it in perspective, right? Look at massive gap fills. Look at that Netflix gap fill. I remember when things were down there and Netflix at 200, people were like, you'll never see Netflix get to 400 again ever in your life, let alone up there to 600. Well, I mean, you're almost there already. So never say never, right? That's one thing that we all should keep in a line in finance. And I think that whether that be on the losing side or the upside, right? Never say never.
One thing to keep in mind is they did make some changes organizationally, which is good, right? It's not that it's not like it's the same exact company when it was back in the hundreds.
Exactly.
So if you can make those changes, it justifies the move. Like, for example, Meta, their company is still burning a ton of money on this metaverse. They haven't abandoned it. They haven't put it aside. So to me, that means more cash burn, lower free cash flow. Margins are going to be thinner. So that means for example, I'm not an investor in this company for a reason. Like, look, I'm not an idiot. I understand how much data Meta wields and the movement that they started with social media platforms, but unfortunately, they haven't been able to keep the headwinds there, right? They're still facing headwinds there. They haven't been able to turn the tailwinds, and that could take some time. So until they fundamentally change something, it's going to be a problem. That's why, for example, one of the biggest things that I hear or see on social media, especially on Twitter, is that I see everyone's like, why did the stock run when they called for layoffs? Well, this is one thing to understand is the work is still going to get done, but by less number of people. So they're going to have more cash on hand. They're going to have to pay. They're going to have less expenses. So hence why you see the stock move up, because fundamentally, this is a way of them reducing expenses. Now, yes, we overhired extensively early last year, and people began to do layoffs to kind of load balance it. And I still think that these layoffs are mainly for load balancing due to overhiring rather than fear of cost cutting in recession. But inadvertently, you are cutting costs, which could help with the earnings compression that is being expected for the next 2 quarters due to the whole recessionary fears.
Yeah, definitely. Do we got any other one, Ryan, before we get you out of here, my friend?
I think the newest ones for today's big move was Roblox. I haven't looked at their earnings extensively yet, but they had a massive gap up. Roblox is a trickier one that moves very, very funny. So I have to look at the earnings before I can say. But again, if we're just talking another example of a stock that gapped up, it would be Roblox had a big, big move.
Yeah, big move. And I mean, I heard their January numbers were just kicking it out the water there.
Yeah.
I personally haven't really played Roblox before, but
neither have I.
I need to take a little look into it. It seems more like it's like the younger crowd that plays Roblox, but hey,
we outgrew that age. I'm still battling to stay within that FIFA Call of Duty world.
Right?
Holding on to it.
It's hard. It's hard to hold on there. But I mean, just take a look at it on like the weekly perspective. It's getting back up there. I mean, for a stock that was, beaten down. And I mean, just think about it overall. I mean, these ARC names, I know everybody hates Kathy, but she's hanging out there, Ryan. She's hanging out there. She's hanging.
She's doing it, man. Look, she was buying Tesla back when it was in the hundreds. Back when everyone was like, Tesla's going to zero. She was like, you know what? I'm going to put my money where my mouth is again. Tesla came back and saved her again. Now, I'm questioning her coin purchases a little more and more these days with everything going on. But I'll leave that to her and her team. That's her prerogative. But the Tesla purchases were brilliant. had over 100% move, and I do hope that she does take some profit at a certain point on this move,
Yeah.
because going into the investor day for Tesla, that's usually been a bit of a selling point. That's been more of a sell than use situation.
Exactly. And I think that that's kind of what we're getting right now. I think we could even get maybe a little bit more lift in Tesla, but as we run into that event, it could be the sell the news type of event. We'll have to wait and find out. Like always, you guys can keep up with everything that Ryan Rosbiani does. You guys see his Twitter right there. Ryan Rosbiani, hit him up. Give him some follows, team. I'll definitely make sure to get your Twitter in here so they can just hit the link and get you to you, man. And
Appreciate
anything
that.
else that you want to leave off with? Tell them a little bit about what you do for
Sure.
your service.
Sure. So I do run a trading team with the goal of helping people learn how to trade and become better traders. Within that trading service is also included a Discord bot that we're developing. We're about to hit a year in May of that it's been live. It gets fed a watch list, and then it uses that plus a bunch of different APIs that we have in there to alert plays that are become viable from the watch list and plays that we add to it sporadically over time. And that's been doing very well, and I try to post the results for that every single day on my Twitter or the Patreon's Twitter. So if you'd like to join, that's at ryanstocks.com. We're more than happy to have anyone who wants to join there. I also run a Twitter, as Mitch said, and I also do my YouTube videos on my channel. Everything about me, you can find it at ryanstocks.com. And I miss doing these with you, Mitch. This is so much fun.
It's always good. It's always good. You know, one thing that I always say, and that's why I did this show, is I want to bring people on that I know for a fact that I look around and they're in the game. They're in the tight work. They're in the dungeons trading, man. And that's what it's all about. The people working on their craft, like I mentioned when you came on. And so I really appreciate what you do, Ryan. I know it isn't easy, like always. And it's always great to have communities out there that are supporting each other. So definitely supporting out there, trading group. Wish you guys the best out there.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Thank you for having me.
Take care, Ryan. All right, that's going to do it for our day. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to some action, and we'll see. I've been looking at that meta gap down trade too. I remember I got stopped out earlier this week trying to attack that one on a day trade. Who knows? Maybe we take a look at that on more of a swing trade approach. And definitely, we'll bring Brian back. No worries. Appreciate you liking that. And that's what it's all about. You guys give us the feedback. We'll keep bringing them back. All right, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the overall market action. I'll just peek in on Tesla right here. Today, I was looking at 210s for pullbacks to buy on Tesla. It did get to that levels multiple times. I don't know what left me where I didn't want to take the shot, but I did not take the shot in Tesla today. It isn't looking too bad there. SI, guys, this morning I was talking about it on pre-market prep. And with Silvergate Capital, I was thinking, man, if Citadel is going to get into this, this one could take off. Look at the amount of volume that came in it today and yesterday. Big volumes coming in this Silvergate Capital, and it could keep driving stocks higher or relationships higher. Today, I day traded this one. Maybe should have kept on a runner. I talked about it on pre-market prep. I thought Coinbase could get a little run on sympathy from that buy, and boy, was I right. But I went to this one really early. I got out of this one towards 62. It's at 68 right now, team. That's how I sometimes think that, I know that there's day trading out there and day traders do well and things like that. But man, this one would have been a nice swing trade for sure. We would have been in a position of power and could let this one run a little bit more, right? Could even get up there towards like 74s, 76. What's to make you think not, right? It did clear this gap right back up, looking like it's trying to come back here towards these highs. Coin, big move today. Also said, watch MSTR, right? Could that get the lift today? Boom, big push on that one. That one also could have been a swing style trade here on the daily chart. You would have had to go under towards like the 250s. So it's a little bit harder of a daily chart to swing, but definitely good swing on the day, at least intraday action. Hope you guys were able to catch some of those relationships. Like always, catch up on pre-market prep to take a look about how I'm seeing some things. Like always, team, I'm not going to be 100% right, but I will let you guys know about what I see, what relationships I think could come into play, and definitely keep that on your mind, right? Hit the like button. Let's keep going. Got a nice one on coin today. Wellness matters. Hey, shout out to you, my friend. Happy to hear so. All right, let's go to some of these swing trades. Amazon doing well, team, continuing, trying to get through that 101 level. Of course, we got this one, 99.12s. We'll look to see if this one can continue to work. We've taken some profits, so now we can just let it keep pushing. Let's see if it can keep that up action. All right, let's take a look there. ITW. Ooh, 239s, 240s right on the brink. We went through that. Actually got to 240.25, almost to my first profit in ITW, which would be through up towards 241. We'll look to see if we get that. All right, the swing trading action has not gone bad for this week. Got to keep battling. Like always, it's never going to be just one way. We've had some stops, and some of them have been like kind of break-even stop outs. So I don't really consider those more losses, just more like cut trades, because sometimes I am going to cut trades. But I got to always try to keep in mind that's the first original planned attack. It's so important to keep that. That would have kept me into shop. We'll see if that one can keep running higher. 53s. I know the earnings are coming up on Shopify, so be careful there when the earnings hit. Looks like we have some imbalances, 449 million to the buy side. We'll look to see if that can keep it riding higher. SPY got up there to 413.50s today, just popped into 413.56. Not a bad close here, but we didn't get the run that I was really looking for. You guys know that I'm looking for that move above towards 415 and really give us that breakout look, right? Well, we've had levels. Now we shouldn't break through the 408. I'm staying bullish as long as we stay above 408. And it's looking like we're in the 413s trying to make a little move. Who knows? Maybe we make this move after hours towards the 415. Something to keep on watch. UNG, I've talked about how that one, I wanted to see it hold 840 towards the close. It's just off that level. It's going to be tough. I'm going to hold it right now, team. I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to look for tomorrow to see what happens there, but definitely not the best price action today. Doesn't make me feel too good right here, but when I take a look at the daily or the 4-hour chart, I realize more and more we just need to hold the low here, recover through that 9. If we recover through that 9, I think we get the move that we've been looking for. If it doesn't make that move, we're back down towards the 8. Like always, know your risk, know your reward, right? This one's a little bit tighter. And like I talk about this one, 9 is kind of more of that risk, the reward first push through that I think could get us to 10. And that's what I really need to do to stay in the right profit to loss ratio. It's 3:54. We're almost wrapping up. Just want to go ahead and just do a last little minute check into the market. The industrials moving a little bit higher today. Wanted to take a look a little bit into some of those stocks. Honeywell, Cat, definitely on my radar, right? Stocks like this. Look at this Honeywell bottoming action around the 199 area. Big bottoming action there in Honeywell. Important level. If that gets through that 199, yeah, you'll get a breakdown. But if you use that, right, and people are buying off of that, using short risk to return, right? Short risk, bigger return on the upside action. We'll look to see what happens there in Honeywell. Cat bouncing back today. Good thing to see there. Boeing, not looking too bad, just sideways action. Nothing much there. UNP Railroads trying to get a little bit of a bounce. Lockheed Martin up there since, of course, kind of the mentions. It was down there towards 445, has bounced right back up there. RTX has been bouncing back. This one actually looks interesting here for the push through the 102 area. But I don't trade these defensive names too often. But it doesn't look bad as it's starting to line up there for the breakout back towards that 102. All right, any other ones being thrown up in the chat? You guys got a chance right now. Throw up some tickers if you guys have anything to swing trade here towards the close, or you're looking for a setup. AMD has been trying to get back above 86 multiple times. Doesn't look bad to do the move now, but of course, this will depend more on the market. Look for the break above 86 tomorrow if you're a bull on AMD. 86 break, and you could get that breakout. All right, PPI. Let's go to that one. Not much there. I mean, I can look at it on kind of like a weekly basis. I would put this even more kind of on a monthly basis, and you can see how it's just kind of chop. Not a clear defined pattern for me. It doesn't seem like it's a bad move there and as of late, but just nothing that really shows me a pattern there. All right, let's see what else is talked about. Time ran out on F to close flat. Yeah, flat on F. Forward, if it can get back above 13s, I've seen a lot of buyers in the 1280s area. So that's where I think the buyers are lined up. We'll look to see if this can get into the 13 handle. Of course, they got in there when you got that mention, that breakdown here, right? Look to the left. This is where I feel like they were getting in on that recovery of the 1280s. Today we broke through that 1280s and then start holding it on the upside action. I'd look for that 1280s to hold. If it breaks one more time, they'll probably let go. We'll see what happens if it can hold 13. All right. Tell Ryan about Sierra. Oh, man, that thing was a monster today. I don't swing trade these, but yeah, these are kind of more what we talk about on live trading. If you guys don't watch live trading, check it out. And man, this hour flew by. Well, that just goes to show us that at least the show isn't that bad if the hour is flying by. You guys do me the favor, guys. Definitely hit the like button and let everybody on Twitter know there's a swing trading show. What? Talk about it, team. I hear so much out there about day trading shows, this and this, but we don't hear too much about the swing trading. So start swing trading right here, team. That's what we're going to be. Hit the share button down below. I know you guys are watching on YouTube right now. You see that share button. Let everybody know. Swing trading has started, team. Get out here. If you're a swing trader, there's too many day traders out there. We're going to swing trading life. And I'll tell you right now, that's my bread and butter, team. There's a reason why I focus more and more of my capital to the swing trading life than the day trading life. Day trading to me is just more just trying to keep working at it, trying to find when I can find the alpha or not. Now, swing trading, that's more what I've seen can stay towards my technical levels, can use fundamentals, can use story, can use multiple variables to try to get high conviction trades. We'll see what happens today if we can continue riding higher. And I was bullish on the day, and it doesn't seem like it was a bad move. Take a look at the SPY as we're starting to close here. Boom, look at that. Volume coming in here, 1467s, hourly chart getting through that trend line. Talked about it before we saw this move. When we crack down below, would we start to hold above that and start to push? That looks bullish to me, team. It looks like it's going to be green lights, baby. Green lights. Because that's all I'm seeing out there right now, team. So we'll find out. Find us tomorrow. Pre-market prep. Don't miss it. Will it be the green day? Will we be through 420? You guys know I've been talking about that. That is the mark where it is a new bull market. Look at the definition. You guys let me know. Hit the likes if you guys enjoyed the show and enjoy a little swing trading action. Hit the comments. Let me know what you guys want more on this swing trading show. I'll make sure to bring it. And of course, we got more great guests that will be joining us, reaching out to plenty of different names out there. If you guys got a name, reach out to me, Mitch at Benzinga.com, and hit the like, team. Let's keep it going. Let's keep pushing forward.